music is supposed to be, it is a gift, an energetic gift, and a way that we are able to process whatever is within us and share it or not share it with anyone else. And there are no standards, there are no guidelines to your expression.
Hey, I'm Lara, an artist, educator, and entrepreneur who's danced through life in Australia, London, and California. Now I'm an Aussie in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Juggling roles as an artist, ex-dancer, current actor, author, professional educator, and qualified life coach, I'm also a wife and mother of two. Join me on this podcast crafted for creative souls at every level, entrepreneurs, artists, dreamers, and hope-filled humans alike. I'm here to guide you towards a life of love, purpose, adventure, and boundless creativity. As a healthy, wealthy, and wise creative soul, I invite you to hit subscribe for weekly inspiration. Anticipate solo episodes, exclusive interviews with creative luminaries, and insightful discussions with my hottie hubby, Andrew, a specialist performance physical therapist, as we delve into the dynamics of relationships and more. Dive into a 360-degree view of making a creative life you'll love. Welcome back to the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist Podcast. I'm Lara, life and creativity coach, and in this episode we have a guest whose story embodies resilience, artistry, and empowerment. Ashleigh Chevalier is not only an acclaimed country artist and creator of Cayenne Roses, but also a business owner, a single mum, and a domestic violence survivor. Through her music and her life, Ashleigh shows us what it means to channel our deepest pains into our greatest strengths. In this episode, we'll dive into how Ashleigh has balanced entrepreneurship and creativity, and how she's used music as a vehicle for healing and storytelling in her life. Whether you're a dancer, actor, singer, writer, visual artist, or other, this conversation will inspire you to keep shining brightly, even when the fire feels too hot to handle. Welcome, Ashleigh.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm going to go straight in the deep end with you. I hope you don't mind, because I love to get behind the process of creatives. But learning about you and in listening to your music, you faced a lot of really big challenges in your personal life and career, as we all do as artists. But how do you pull your emotions into your music? How has that shaped the stories that you're telling?
Well, personally for me, anytime I was dealing with an emotion I needed to process, I always went to my guitar.
Love that.
And I think that goes out to when I was younger. I was always just bursting out into song. And then I picked up a guitar when I was somewhere 11 or 12 years old, and my parents got me one, and that was it. I taught myself to play. And I pretty much used it to sing songs and write songs, not to, I learned other people's songs, but mostly I just wrote my own. Yeah. And I don't know that it is my number one emotional coping mechanism.
I love that you've said that, because like that, there's just so much I want to unpack with that. Like, for example, in your song, I think I'm saying this right, Cayenne Roses.
Cayenne Roses. Yep.
Cayenne, and that's partly because is that a herb or like a pepper or something?
No, well, cayenne is, but that was inspired. Actually, it's I got roses once, and they were cayenne roses, and what that is, that's what they were called.
I didn't
and they're
know that.
Yellow, like you see on the album cover. They're yellow and tinged with orange. And for me, that's like, I'm not a I wouldn't call myself a white rose, So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. And so that was like, if my daughter says spicy rose. You're a spicy rose.
I love it.
And I was like, yeah. And also, you can still be, it's kind of like the colors of a sunset. They're really, really beautiful. And the lyrics are about basically shining bright even when you've gone through a whole lot of stuff. And every verse of that song extracts a part of something I've been through. So
now I need to go back and listen again, which I really love. I had that on this morning, actually, and well done, and congrats on know that it's always a huge thing to put an album out. And you sing live a lot too, which I've noticed, and I absolutely love the way you sing live. You've got so much energy on stage. Is that something? Do you prefer the recording studio or live?
They're so different experiences.
Mm,
I don't prefer one or the other. I love both. Going in the studio can be more costly.
yeah.
And well, if I had to choose, it would be a live performance. And the reason
Mm,
is because I really like to connect with people. The expression is a big part of what I like about music, and how you express a song. This is the beauty of it. And I've never really heard anyone talk about it, but it's different every time.
mm,
In the pop media, you have to deliver a song the same way every time. But because I've written these songs, it's not the same every time. The structure is the same, the melody is the same, but the heart behind it is not. And that's because we evolve as people, and we're, reflecting different parts of what hit well, I reflect different parts of what hits me in that song every time I sing it.
I love that you say that because it really keeps it fresh, doesn't it? And it's your art. Would you say, like, other than that song, like, how has your life experience really inspired you as an artist?
Well, as I think in general, it's all like one big energy flow, right? Like we're
Mm.
walking a direction. We're never really walking backwards. It's not actually possible. We can do something we've done from the past, but you can't go back,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
so true.
even if you're so even if you're repeating something that you've done in the past, there's still a new lesson to be learned. So I always have just kept walking. Sometimes my pace might have been slowed down. Sometimes my focus outwardly might not have seemed as committed, just because when I was going through the things I went through, I didn't have the same time to perform, but I was always writing. So even if it looked
Mm.
like I wasn't doing as much on the outside, and I, as a musician, I went through a lot of, you are forced to look at yourself in the mirror if you're serious about it in a way that other people might not look at themselves. Does that make you, do you know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have, and it's different than painting a picture too, because you can look at it, and I can't speak because I'm not an artist, but when I sing, after, and if I look back at a video playback, you really are looking at yourself back at you. And there's nothing,
Mm.
you have to look at what you sound like, the quality of your performance, the does that song really make sense? Did I deliver it that well? Oh my
Yeah.
god, I shouldn't have sung that way, especially as somebody with a who likes to sing the blues, like some of the ways that I would rip an expression, it doesn't always fly. It doesn't always work. And you really
Mm.
have to toughen up to handle it, because some people fall in love with the fact that you were human enough to make that mistake and honest enough to do it publicly.
Mm.
And some people are like, oh, that sounds like crap.
Yeah, and they kind of throw you out before. It's funny though. I think we all, the more we perform on stage, the more we can resonate. I think with what you're saying, whether there's people listening are speaking on stage, like you really have to make your mistakes work or just keep going, don't you? Because it's just
Yeah.
nasty if you get stuck in your head. You get taken out of that beautiful process that you're in on stage of that authenticity.
Yeah. It's also, you have to get over the the embarrassment and rejection. Like you really have to
Mm.
toughen up. And I remember this one time I was on stage. I think I literally was like, "You do this, and then you can talk to me about the shit you're talking."
Yes,
And
absolutely,
now
and
I
that's
was
that
like, "You
thing,
can't."
unless you're in the ring,
Yeah,
don't
and it
criticize.
doesn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with whether or not someone can sing or anything. It's that one experience, and people don't realize when they're watching music, or that I remember almost every performance I've ever had. So,
Mm,
and if I don't remember it fully, I remember if someone was kind or they were crappy.
yeah.
And if, in the embarrassment you have that you carry because you didn't do as well that performance, you have that for the rest of your life. That does not go away.
It's true.
you
So
know?
true. I have to agree, I sung at someone's wedding and I forgot I've never done this in my entire career, I forgot, just went blank, and we all fear that will happen, but it actually happened. And I just couldn't find the melody, and everything just sort of went like slow motion. And I was like, "Oh, this whole room full of people is looking at you." And I think we underestimate like the vulnerability of getting up to perform and the bravery that it takes
Well,
to
and the
do it.
stress,
The stress,
the
yeah.
stress. I was going to a gig a couple of weeks ago, And there was a lot going on in my life that day. And this is, people have crap going on,
Yeah.
and I showed up, and the traffic was so bad. I was an hour late, which I'm never that late. Like I might be pushing it sometimes 30 minutes in. I'd rather get there an hour ahead of time.
Mm.
Sometimes it doesn't happen. You know how life is. But I'm always starting. I'm always fulfilling my time and the gig slot. Um,
Yeah.
and I had all of my stuff on loaded up, and I was about to walk in, and I just broke down crying.
Oh,
I
you
was
poor
like,
thing.
I cannot. I think that's happened to me all of twice in my life. This
Yeah.
is the most recent I remember, and I was like, I can't. And I just turned
Mm.
around, and I just had to leave because I was too. It can be, and nobody would
Mm.
necessarily know that I would do that. But some gigs are just crap, and you got
Yeah.
to keep going. And I don't think that gig was crap, but I was not in the mindset to do well
Mm.
with all those people, to be late, to hammer in, to stress through. I had another gig after that, and I was like,
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't. And I sat there and cried. I don't. That was recent too. And I've
Mm.
been gigging for 15 years. That's not
Yeah.
not a new thing. And I know the show must go on and all that stuff, but it's different when the show must go on and you've got a guitar tech and 15 people loading your stuff up, or
That's so true. And a room full of people
you're
looking at you.
driving 4 hours down the road and hitting 2 hours of traffic, gotta pee 3 times because you're a mom trying to drink
Yeah.
coffee to stay ahead of the curve. You pull in, you're freaking late, you feel like crap, you feel like you look like crap. And then and then you're like, am I bloated from the road? Like probably. Like I think what I really need is a beer. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that's fine with me.
No, but you know what I mean. Like I just like
Absolutely.
I'm being sarcastic. I said, but you have to keep going. I think that's
Mm.
been a huge lesson for me. Like I made it to that next gig, and I called my agent, and I was like, I am really, really sorry. I am here, but I am bawling my eyes out. I'm already late. And I mean, this is 15 years of working with this
Mm.
person, right? So he
Yeah.
knows that I'm a reliable individual.
Yes.
Um, and the truth is too, and I play this one brewery, and they're great. They're so good to their artists. They have a great stage and sound system. And the guy goes, this, and the guy goes, the truth is that only half of the people here actually want to hear you. And that's not
Mm.
me, but like the artists. And you
Yeah.
deal with that, right? You're like, it's true. Some people come here for this and some
Yeah.
people don't. And I'm just really grateful to have the opportunity to perform,
Mm. True.
but it doesn't make that any less difficult to deal with.
Mm. I love that. So often performers, we're so polished. Or all artists, there's my finished visual art or there's my finished perfect piece, that we forget the humanity of what we do. So I really do appreciate your vulnerability. And you're an artist too that survived, and I hope you don't mind me diving deep here into domestic violence and a failed marriage, which I've read about on I think your website. What advice would you give to other creatives who are trying to heal and to find their voice after trauma?
Um, I'll say what Andrew Hellier said to me. Um, he is in the band Rotoglow, which
Mm.
I love that band. Um, this was 2011. So I've been divorced twice. That's something to unpack. But this was the first one. I was 23, coming out of like a maybe a faith-based marriage, which isn't a bad thing, but I was just too young and too stressed. He was a decent person, and we
Mm.
were just too young. Um, and Andrew looked at me and said, "Don't filter any of it."
Mm. It's good.
And so, I mean, I didn't, and I haven't. Well, I mean, there's some things we don't necessarily talk about, right? But I got bolder in that, and there'll be a lot more of what's come out in my domestic violence. Wasn't from my first marriage. Domestic violence was after
No.
my first marriage.
Yeah. Okay. Mm.
Yeah, that was my daughter's dad, and he
Mm.
was bad to both of us, and consequently the women after, the mothers of his other two children, which is, he
Mm.
wasn't that when I met him. So that was, I can't say anything else about him. But I will
Mm.
say that, he had a traumatic life and he carried it through his life. Right. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
that punctured my life. and my daughter's life. And we're okay. We're
Mm.
okay because you keep walking and you lean into your community. And if you're a creative who has been through, and we've all been through toxicity too, it's not a comparison game.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Music is supposed to be, it is a gift, an energetic gift, and a way that we are able to process whatever is within us and share it or not share it with anyone else. And there are no standards, there are no guidelines to your expression. You know, tell you how many hours I have spent at night playing whatever instrument it was, crying lyrics I will never remember, or over songs. And I've gotten
Mm.
my best songs from doing that, and I have gotten many better days through sitting with and processing it. And I just think that more people need that. You know, I've heard so many people say, maybe you would agree, that I'm not musical. I don't have a musical bone in my body. And I was like, I disagree. Everyone does. Like, everyone has this, the standard or the cultural expectation that you have to do well at it,
Mm.
that might be that you're placing on yourself, or what you're putting on yourself, that might be affecting it. But
Mm.
you know, nobody's stopping you from pressing the C button, C key, and even just speaking words over melody and sound like that. So
Mm.
I just really believe in the healing power of it. So remove
Mm.
the, I guess ultimately I'm saying remove the boundaries or the expectations that you place on yourself, and just allow music to be the energy that it's supposed to be for you. And then it will become, if it's your purpose, part of what other people need in music from you as well.
Mm. I love what you're saying so much. And how do you personally, is there any other advice you have around staying grounded in those difficult times, or staying motivated when it's just so tough and you're an artist and you have to keep going? Like you said, you've got things booked, or you need to produce, or you need to create, and maybe you don't feel like it. Like, how do you stay grounded? How do you keep going when it's tough?
That's different for everyone because of the fight or flight is really real. So for me, I was always fighting to flight, meaning like I was always moving forward as a way to cope. Um, I think that if it's your means of income, it's the best thing that you can do to keep going, because you're honing in on that one part of yourself that is authentically yours. Like, no one else can sing your songs the way you wrote them, and nobody
Mm.
can write the songs you're going to write. You have to write them.
Yeah.
So you can remember that as a little piece of yourself when you're feeling like the world has been stripped from you, because you can really feel like that, or you feel like you don't have any value. Nobody can take the value of your art away.
Mm.
You know, it will always have the most amount of value to you anyway.
Mm.
You know, even if you're writing songs for TV placement, it comes back with a certain amount of money. Like, you know, and that's, if you come back to that, it really can get you through. But I will also say that if you're an artist and you need to take a break, it's okay to do that. Like, take a break, you know, take a break.
Yeah. I love that. There's so many things. And I mean, you are busy. I mean, you've got a lot of hats. You've got your music, but you're a single mom, you're an artist, you're also an entrepreneur. You've got a job, like a day job, as we say, I believe. What tips do you have for artists trying to juggle all those multiple roles in their lives, and their careers, particularly if art, like I would imagine and assume for you, is such a important and dominating part of your life? How do you juggle everything else, all those roles?
Um, Very, I wouldn't say strict time management. I operate though on a flex strict time management, which means I
Mm.
work a certain amount of hours a day.
Mm.
And I set goals every day for what I need to do. And I take radical accountability for that. And that really is a mindset. I've gotten better through the years over it. If you're going through a traumatic experience, that's going to be harder. Like, your bandwidth for what you can handle might be less or more. And my ability to handle a lot, it might be a little more than some people, because I'm super energetic. People say that all the time. I don't really like to sit down. Like I'm not a sit down, and like my recovery time is different than someone else's recovery time.
Mm,
Um, and that's okay. So you can't compare yourself to someone else. Also, I think the hardest part comes down to prioritize, like how you prioritize and what your non-negotiables are. So something that's really
mm,
changed my life was CrossFit. And you don't have to go to CrossFit, but it was something that inspired my fitness journey to stay. Like I'm just super motivated by it, right?
mm.
Motivated by the community, but it's also a non-negotiable in my life. There's like a meme that goes around that's like, some people have to fight to go to the gym. I have to like fight not to go to the gym on rest days. That
Wow.
I'm very much that person. Well, because I really like to exercise all the time. And
Mm,
I wish I'd figured that out about myself a long time ago. Um, so once I did that, and what that taught me outside of my faith was how I could prioritize the rest of my business commitments and really how to be authentic and honest in the loads that I can carry and can't carry. And sometimes I just have
mm.
to say no. So you learn how to.
Yeah.
And that's a really hard thing to do. Bringing that back to music, I don't, because I'm a mom, I'm not on the road all the time, and I don't necessarily
Mm,
want to be right now. So I prioritize how I book that. But to be fair, I paid a
mm.
lot of dues, right? So I
Yeah.
did that for years and years where I was picking up all the gigs that people didn't want, which
Yep.
I think women have to do more than men, but we'll get into that later. Um, so I was picking up all the gigs people didn't want or just trying to break in general. And now I work with a whole lot of different agents. They're great people. I'm an agent myself, and I have a little more flexibility. I can do this set of dates. This is what I'd like to do, and I treat it more like a touring artist would.
Mm.
Um, and so I'm really intentional about that.
I love that you said that because I was watching Casting Crowns documentary the other day, Home by Sunday, and he kind of defied the odds. I was talking about the lead singer Mark by saying, "I will only tour." I think it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I want to be home for church Sunday, and then I want to be in the office Monday, Tuesday because he's a youth pastor. Work with. Run the meeting Wednesday night and then go back on tour. And he didn't need to stay in that job. So it really defied the odds. Like he dared to say, "This is my primary identity, and the rest is." It's just so unique when an artist cannot. I mean, yes, we have to pay our dues at the start. But that was always his stand to this day, and it's been like 20 years or something. So, I mean, I really admire what you're saying because it's not easy to have that integrity over our lives and to not kind of somewhat prostitute ourselves out and lower our standards, lower our values, throw everything away in order to book the gig. And tell me more about what you said about the men female thing with booking. What's been your experience?
Well, it's a lot of dynamics. I will say, our having done this for 15 years, we've come a long way. But
Mm.
I still men have more gigs than women. And part of that
Mm.
is because there are more men able to pull off being a musician than there are women who want to
Wow.
pursue that dream or give themselves the permission for that. Um,
Mm.
and the demands are hard and the money isn't always great. So if you're going to be a musician and a parent, you have to balance the lifestyle that you want to have and that you're going to provide for your kids, married or
Mm.
unmarried, you know. And even if you're married, just or with a partner, whatever that decision is, I don't think you want to be gone every night, every weekend. That's really
Yeah.
hard on artists on the road. It doesn't, our relationships matter in the music industry can force you to sacrifice the things that matter most. And I always look at people, I said this, I say it more than one time, like, why are you in this? Like, why are you in this? And if you don't know your why, or you have an unrealistic why, then you're gonna burn out and you're gonna hate it or whatever else, right? Like my why
Mhm.
is people. I love to connect with people and I love the expression. That being said, I'm not going to sacrifice the people that matter most in my life in those relationships completely to go to, and this I maybe get people won't like this, but to go to a show where some people may never, they don't really care, like some of them
Yeah.
don't, sometimes they just don't care, and you're making $100 or $200 and yay, that paid my water bill,
Mm.
I got to get home at 2 o'clock and I'm going to sleep half the day away. And I really wanted to go to the pumpkin patch with my kid. Like those things
Yeah.
balance. I mean, really, they balance
Really.
out,
Yeah. Mm.
So, and I just learned it's not because I don't have a passion or if something took off for me that I wouldn't have to make some adjustments, but
Mm.
I'm pretty, when Ellie was younger, in a way it was easier because she went to bed earlier. So I was working while she was asleep and that worked,
Yeah.
and I had family support and that was great. Now it's different. She needs me in a different way.
Mm.
Um, so if I'm going on the road, I'm really going to be gone. I don't want her at breweries every weekend. Like
Yeah.
that's not her best life. Like she needs to be doing her ballet and her,
Mm.
her making her friends and having her sleepovers and things like that. And I'm
Yeah.
the provider of that. I'm the facilitator of that. So in order for her to have the best experience, I need to balance that. And I don't even think of it as a sacrifice. It's not. It's a blessing. Like I look at her
Mm.
every day and I'm just like, gosh, I'm so grateful that you get to dance through my living room. Like, how cool are you, kiddo? Like,
Yeah,
you
what a
know?
great attitude. I really love your attitude around that because I think we so often put art first because art is a very like you said, it's you. It's like especially for the performers, it's like this is me. Um you manage a business. You said that you're an agent. I think you do something in marketing as well.
Mhm.
Um do you find and being a mum, do you stay creatively fulfilled as an independent artist with those other things, or if you could, would you sort of, apart from parenting obviously, which is a gift, um would you throw those other things away if music was enough, or do you like the different hats?
That is a great question. I've had to do both always. And I've always centered it around music. One empowered the other for a while.
Mm,
Um, Also, probably not a popular opinion here. People like to be obsessed, singularly obsessed. I am not singularly obsessed.
mm,
I love music. It's my passion. It is hands down my passion. I will always have it. That being said, I'm going back to school, hopefully to medical school.
well done.
And that's a huge life career change, right? I'm okay
Mm,
with it though. It's what I want to do. Music will still always be there, and I'm still going to do it. I have
mm,
another album coming out next year. It's already done.
yeah.
And I have more songs for the album after that, and it's not gonna stop. Um, I don't need to. I refuse to be a slave to music or
Mm,
anything, right? Like that's
yeah.
not what it's about. If I could make more money in that, would I? Maybe. The ways that people make a whole lot more money in that are they build up their personal brand, just like any other
Mm,
business, and they get more money for gigs and are on the road and they sell more merchandise, which is just another business product.
yeah, true. Mm,
So, and there is an element of look at me that you have to fulfill that while I can talk and I can be on camera and I can
mm,
do this publicity thing I'm okay with. I don't really want to spend my life doing that. Like,
mm,
does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
I don't need to be on 15 million public video, like that's just not,
Mm,
maybe in one point in my life it was fulfilling. Now I really, I like the balance. I like
mm,
the balance and I like the
yeah.
diversity of opportunity to connect with different people through different avenues. Like it's just such an enriching
Mm.
lifestyle.
Yeah, I love what you're saying because I think for so long we've all had this opinion that art has to be this full-time thing and that's the ultimate goal. But really, like you're talking about a life that's fulfilling, coming full circle and realizing, hey, I want these other things and music's there for me. It's my gift, it's my expression, it's my joy rather than it's my source of self-worth, it's my source of finding value in the world or being important. And I think, do you come across a lot of musicians that really really, you would say, you know where I'm going with this, really have their motivations wrong around this conversation?
I wouldn't say they're wrong because it's not for me to say that. Everyone has their dreams and their reason, and that's a part of their like processing fluidity. Um, when I was first starting out, like with my rock band stuff, I can think about it right now. I'm sure you can too, where you're like, gosh, this is it. This I love this. I love this community. I love like doing the work isn't work. I don't mind carrying the gear. I love having rehearsal. Um I love every element of it. And that is still true. Um but it goes back to that question, and I would never take anything about that away from someone.
Mm.
If we're dealing with an imbalance in our world expectations of what the world owes us, which is what overthinking is about on this album,
Mm.
we're going to deal with that in any career.
Mm.
So because you carry that, like say your motivation to be an artist is to get a whole lot of attention. Say deep down that's what you need. You were, you didn't get the attention that you thought you needed, or you have this talent and this is where you want to shine and look at me kind of thing, which
Mm.
as a person with a big voice and a big personality, people can think about me. It's actually not true. I'm
Mm.
just like this buzzing kind of, I don't yes, there's an element of that because you have to perform in front of people, but it's not really, and you want them to attend because that's how you're validating your career, which is kind of a toxic concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the whole thing, the whole industry can seem like that. But if you don't have that balance, it's going to work itself out. People aren't really drawn to self-obsession. They want to see
Mm.
themselves in you, right?
Well, wait, that is good. Say that again.
Oh, people aren't really drawn to self obsession in a good way. They want to
Mm.
see themselves in you in art and
Wow.
music.
Do you think, oh, wow, that is really profound. I've never heard anyone say that, but that is so true. We want to see ourselves in it. I think maybe that's where a lot of us get lost. I think that's something that we need to return to. That is so good, Ashleigh. Thank you for saying that. And you've also worked with a lot of musicians, and I would say legendary artists. And your
Yes.
band has some amazing people in it. How has
Mhm.
that collaboration influenced your music and
Oh,
your approach to art?
they said it from the beginning, and it's very true. You only get better by playing with people who are better than you.
Oh, I
There's a
love that.
standard. There's a
Mm,
standard of expectation. It's just that's true with anything. There's
yeah.
an expectation of how you should
Mm,
behave and what you should do, and um, your commitment to the quality that you're delivering because they don't want their quality. They've worked hard to be where they are, and
hmm
but something that really is carried over from them is the level of kindness and grace that they allow. Right, like
mm,
playing with certain people, I'm just humbled that they will play with me, and I learn from every time.
mm,
Not afraid to tell them that either, or ask them questions. Um, and I'm just like, gosh, remember I did that one thing 10 years ago when we played that show, and this one person looked at me and he was like, I've been there, like I understand. I was like, well, I'm just so grateful that you were gracious enough to me to, let me to continue to perform with me. And
mm. Love that gratitude.
I,
Yeah.
but they, yeah, it sets a bar, a standard,
Mm, yeah. Can you tell me too? I mean, this is something you probably probably within yourself because you said you're an agent. I've seen that you do marketing. You're also an artist. Finding an audience feels like a huge hurdle for most artists. What strategies have helped you and the people that listen to your music? And what advice would you offer artists that are trying to grow an audience and trying to get people to see their work?
Okay. So I've done my degrees in marketing. I went to George Mason for marketing and classical performance, actually, vocal performance. And I ended up deciding opera wasn't the path for me. And I was right. Music, a different part of music was, though it did serve me well what I got from that. I've been entrepreneurial since I was probably 15. I started making better money landscaping outside. That's what Hardworking Woman's about. I worked outside for 8 years
Wow.
on estate gardens and things and that is hard work. I mean, there were days I'd get out of bed the next day and just I mean, I was 18 and my whole body was in pain because I worked so hard, um, in the heat and all that. And so I'm painting the picture of my experience, right? But through that, the entrepreneurship, the marketing degree, and the level up, now running this agency, which is small. It's a boutique agency. I have personal coaching clients and, consulting and then marketing on the side. And I've worked with a variety of people over the past decade that I still work with.
Mm.
And I'm saying all that to give credibility to what I'm about to say next. Foundationally, when you are who you are and you're authentic in your outreach, like attracts like. And when you are going into music, you're trying to grow your audience, you need to, I believe you should put your best foot forward as the person that you want to be tomorrow while accepting who you are today, and give at least as much as you expect to receive.
Mm.
Most artists don't do that and then wonder why they're getting anywhere. And in art, that is a differentiating difference in art than other business. In regular business, there's a pay it forward referral concept where that does happen. In art, it's almost more important because the community just, it orbits in a different way. Outside of that, it's a business. So if you want to find your audience, then you have to find the things that you need to go to the venues that in the places that have that kind of music, and you can do some analytics. You should. You have to be choosy about where you put that dollar, but you don't have to pay for it at first. You can find analytics on your website and socials and see who's looking at your stuff. Run an ad, take a look, see what's resonating, what isn't. A lot of the analytics on the back end of all these social media sites are free. It's really frustrating as an artist that they're making millions off of artist creativity. This is an injustice in our system. This is also where it's different than the business, right? Nowhere else in the world are our products being so greatly abused. The art is music worse than art because it's really hard to just steal someone's art. Like they're like a digital product or a tangible painting or something.
Yeah.
But music, they're just like, oh, well, we're going to make it so everybody can access that. So you put it on there for free and we will make the millions of dollars. And by the way, because we have the money, we're just going to create this big space. So you only want to be on our streaming platform. And then you've got this huge uphill battle. And it's not equitable and it's wrong. So that's something that's messed up about the music industry, but the music industry has always been messed up. So, but there are certain ways you can go in and find your audience that way, do some testing, just like anything else, and then bring them into your email list, which I haven't fulfilled that element yet, but this is what you would do.
I love that. Because you own your email list, but your followers, the algorithm changes. I've heard that, and that's really important.
Yeah.
That's something that's authentically yours. I love what you're saying. I love the way that you put that about the differences between, the arts and creativity, and to really go out and to build our audiences that we need to, there's some work involved in that. And there's also some having a good personality is a part of it, right? Making sure that you get along well with people. And you said you're very motivated by people.
Yeah. I mean, kindness goes a really long way.
It's true. That's true. Where can people find you? And what else would you like to share and let people know about?
Yeah. So I have an email list. If you go to Ashleigh Chevalier Music, and it's spelled all the funny ways, all my stuff is there, links to everything. And I don't know what else would I share? There's so much.
Anything on your heart that you'd want to say to artists or to audiences or anything at all?
I don't know if you've had this experience, and maybe it's because I'm older now. I just hit this threshold recently where I was like, my boundaries deepened, and I was like, I am not going to put time into this. No, I will not accept this behavior, or I'm just not. I wish that I had better boundaries sooner. that I didn't allow societies and cultural norms to affect the my perception on what I think I deserved or how I should behave, because it doesn't work, right? It just got me down a really bad hole. And part of that's morality, and part of that's if I had just held to what I knew to be true from the beginning, I probably would be a little bit further along and would have known myself better and just been a better, healthier being in general. I don't want to say no regrets either, because I think regrets are a part of what keep us moving forward in the right direction. I disagree with the live with no regrets thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That. So you have no for you don't accept you were wrong anywhere. But yeah, that's what I would say. Hold your boundaries and don't let society dictate what you think, what you know is right and you deserve as a person. Especially
such good advice. Yeah, such good advice. I thank you so much for this wonderful chat and the wisdom that you carry, which is hard earned. I know.
Wisdom.
Yeah, there's wisdom in you, Ashleigh, and it's not like we just wake up wise. It comes through some hard knocks, and you've been through many, and so
regrets.
Yes. And you've given out so much virtue in this interview, so much wisdom, and so much wonderful tips. So I just thank you for that so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Now I have to circle back, and I love. This is one of my favorite parts about music is reconnecting. It's like the community grows, right? So.
Phew, today's masterclass is done. I love reaching back and saying, I've done this, and helping you learn the easy way. If you want more, head to laurabiancapilcher.com for show notes, links, freebies, my blog, coaching and courses, and you can also head to my socials, Laura Bianca Pilcher on Instagram and Facebook. I'm also on Twitter and Pinterest. Thanks again for listening. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That would mean the world to me. And of course, keep on living the healthy, wealthy, wise artist living towards your dream life. Bye, friends. P.S. Shout out to my hottie hubby, Andrew Pilcher, who does all the editing on this podcast.